We got a Ronald Acuna trade update. The Jays and Mariners are linked in trade talks, and the Rookie of the Year award winners have been announced. So, what does that mean for the Jays and their young stars? We'll break that down and much more on Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside co host Nick Gosse. Got a lot to break down today, but first, I want to thank you all for helping us hit 2K subscribers. The support has been unreal, and making these videos has just been so much fun.
It's been great. We couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you for 2K. We hit 1K faster than I thought, and now we're already past 2K. So thank you guys so much. Just a quick reminder, 85.3% of you guys who are watching right now are not subscribed. So if you enjoy the daily content, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as it means the world to us. But we'll get into the first topic of this action-packed video with a rumor that dropped just recently about Ronald Acuna Jr., a massive Acuna trade update. So I'll pop up the report right now. The Braves are not considering trading Ronald Acuna Jr. per Ken Rosenthal. Now, we had a video the other day because there was a few reports coming out that they were considering trading him, and I guess they just decided to, shut those rumors down. And if you're a Jays fan, you might be a bit sad. If you're an MLB fan around the world looking to trade for Acuna, it seems as if he might be off the table. Peter, what are your initial thoughts on that? We kind of assumed it, but now it's been confirmed to a degree.
Yeah, well, we kind of figured that there would be no way Alex Anthopoulos would trade Ronald Acuna, a guy that he signed for years on a team-friendly contract, a guy who has a knack for doing that. But yeah, we just thought that there was no way that the Braves would want to part ways with Ronald Acuna, especially now that his value would be at an all-time low after an injury-riddled season, a season where he didn't really perform up to his standards. His standard is 40-40, uh, 40 stolen bases, 40 homers type of potential, and he didn't do that last season. But I think he'll get back to that form, and why would the Braves want to get rid of that?
Yeah, I don't know, and it's a great question. Some of the stuff on the other report talked about, some internal things, maybe the fact that he's only getting paid 100 million and Dansby Swanson is in line for a contract of 150 million. There were some reports saying that he might have been upset about that and asking for a trade out because of internal issues, which would be the only feasible reason, and it's not even that
Exactly.
feasible, but it would be the
Yeah.
only reason that you would even consider trading Ronald Acuna. And clearly, those issues have been solved one way or another, which is great for the Braves. Not so great for the Jays if you're looking to trade for him, but obviously a package would have been much difficult, or really difficult, and we have other different fish to fry this offseason, but it's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And we figured like there's got to be something more that's there. I mean, the guy's 24 years old. He's an MVP caliber type player. You don't just get rid of a guy like that, especially not after a down season. He's shown what he could do. He's a consistent hitter. He's a consistent just clubhouse presence, and I don't think they would want to get rid of that. And we assumed that there was probably something more there for the Braves, but I guess that's solved. And Ronald Acuna is going to be playing in Atlanta next year and not in Toronto, as we assumed, as we suspected.
Yeah, especially given, the rumblings kind of died down a little bit. When we were making the video,
Yeah.
they were super high, and they died down a little bit. So I assume any internal problems were fixed internally, and maybe the report was true at the time, and then, they spoke to Ronald Acuna and figured it out. But for now, the trade rumors for Acuna have been shut down. We'll get into the next topic of the video, which is kind of, we're back on the rumor mill. This one was very interesting, and I want to get your guys' opinions in the comment section below, because this is a trade with a team that we just lost to, that I'm sure many of you Jays fans out there are familiar with. This is a Mariners and Jays potential trade proposal rumor from The Athletic, and I'm going to throw it up right now, and then I'll also, part of the article is why the Mariners would do it and why the Jays will do it, so we'll go through that real quick, and then we'll get your opinion, Peter. So the trade is the deal. The Mariners trade right-handed pitchers Chris Flexen and Penn Murfee to the Jays for Espinal and Alejandro Milin. So now this is obviously not a crazy blockbuster deal, but the more we get into this part of the offseason, the more we're going to keep looking at realistic trades that could actually happen, because we all expect the Jays to make one big move, but lots of subsequent smaller moves will be made. Now, quickly touch on this. Basically, why Seattle will do this. It's abundantly clear what the Mariners need the most, offense and more of it. So we're giving them offense with Espinal, and they're giving us pitching in Penn Murfee and Chris Flexen. And obviously he talks about how, Ross Stripling and Hyun-Jin Ryu. Basically, the Blue Jays need pitching, and that's what it comes down to. What are your initial opinions on this trade, and do you think it is feasible?
Yeah, well, you said it. I mean, these are the types of moves that we see happen the most in the offseason, and those are the ones that often get lost in those blockbuster trades. But these under the radar moves are the ones that make a good team great. And getting addressing a position of need is what the Toronto Blue Jays need to do. So they have a lot of infielders. They have Whit Merrifield, who's going to be there for a full season next year. They have Kevin Biggio, who could play all over the diamond. So Santiago Espinal kind of got lost in the shuffle towards the end of the year, and the Mariners they need a second baseman. I know Adam Frazier broke our hearts in that wild card series, but I don't think he's the long term option at second base for the Seattle Mariners, and they have a lot of left-handed bats in their lineup. So very contrary to what the Blue Jays' problem is. They have too many left-handed bats and a very good right-handed, I would say an above average right-handed bat in Santiago Espinal could address that need. And Penn Murfee, who is a big strikeout guy out of the bullpen, even though he doesn't throw too hard, that's a need that would be addressed for the Blue Jays as well.
Yeah, like you said, we're dealing from positions of strength to address positions of weakness, and that's what this trade is doing. Espinal was an all-star last year. You can debate whether or not it was deserved. At the time, he was playing really well. Obviously, he cooled down a lot. But we have lots of options at second base. We also have lots of internal options coming up that can play second base if needed. And Espinal is not that big enough of an impact player to where you need to keep him in order to not address, if you're not going to keep him in order to like save a trade. So definitely love this trade actually by the Athletic. And I think this one was really well thought out compared to, some of the other rumors that are going around there. And I would love to see Penn Murfee in a Blue Jays uniform because he torched us and, may as well throw another, junk funky pitcher like Adam Simber into the bullpen. And I think that, I don't know, this trade is just really, really cool. Let me know in the comments, or let us know in the comments what you think about it. Do you think that they would take this if Kevin Biggio was involved?
I personally don't think so. I mean, Santiago Espinal's value is much higher than Kevin Biggio just based off defense alone. Espinal is an elite defender at second base, even though Kevin Biggio can play, I guess, more positions than Espinal. He's not as good of a defender, and I don't think as good of a hitter either, even though he has a bit more power. But I'm excited. I would be excited to see what Penn Murfee could do in a Jays uniform. He showed what type of stuff that he had in Seattle, and Chris Flexen, that could be another under the radar type of addition as well. But look, we've been saying it. These are the types of moves that get you over the hump when you address positions of need, and the Jays need strikeout relievers, and that's exactly what Penn Murfee is.
Yeah, if they, for whatever reason, the front office wants to keep Espinal, maybe they attach Biggio and a better prospect than what was given. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and I'll actually add one more thing. I forgot to say this in my last point, but yeah, you said the internal options for the Toronto Blue Jays. They have a lot of infielders that are expected to make the big league roster, or at least the 40-man roster, in Addison Barger, who we made a video on, who has some elite potential, who hits from the left-hand side. Orelvis Martinez could be coming up soon, and Gabriel Moreno. I mean, he could play pretty much anywhere too, so I wouldn't rule out him getting a start at third base or getting a start at second base or in the outfield. Who knows?
yeah, and not to mention, I know you already touched on it, but Whit Merrifield, giving him a full year, I have much more faith in him, or I have faith that he will perform at least to the level of Espinal, if not higher. So if you can address a position of need like we're talking about, just a great trade proposed by the Athletic, and that's why we brought it up. We'll get into the final topic of the video now, which is just a quick, brief one, but it is the Rookie of the Year winners were announced. And Peter, I'll let you. I'll name them: the Michael Harris and Julio Rodriguez. We're big Julio Rodriguez fans, even though he kind of destroyed us in the wild card. But I'll let you touch on what this could mean for the potential, the Jays and what they could potentially do.
Well, I love J Rod. I like Michael Harris a lot too. I think he's got a bright future in Atlanta. And what those two guys have in common there is that they both won Rookie of the Year, obviously, and they both got signed to long-term deals, and their organizations wasted no time. They saw what they had in Julio Rodriguez. I mean, who wouldn't see that? He's a generational type of player. You sign that guy right away. But I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a generational type of hitter as well. So you got to get these guys signed. Michael Harris signed an 8 year, $72 million deal which is probably going to end up being a steal in the near future for the Atlanta Braves. So I think this means this is like the new wave. You see what you have in your young guys. They show you a little bit of a sample size in the major leagues, and you get them signed. You don't waste any time. So that's what the Jays should look to model towards.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, we're a bit past the for Vladdy at least past the point of
Yeah.
getting any kind of discount. But even for Manoah, I would like to follow the same structure. Obviously, we're not going to get as good of a deal as the Michael Harris did, but sign Manoah early, get him locked up. We know he wants to be a Blue Jay, so may as well just lock him up and let him perform because Julio Rodriguez is a stud, and Michael Harris is a stud, and Alex Anthopoulos is doing some good work over there in Atlanta. So shout out to him and shout out to the Rookie of the Year winners. And that'll wrap up the video. We broke down lots, and thank you guys so much for the support. It's been unbelievable. It means the world. And do you have anything else you want to say, Peter? It's just been unbelievable.
It definitely has been unbelievable, and there was a comment that alluded to us saying unbelievable so much. So hope you're having fun that we keep on saying it. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you then.